So to start, I would like to know what inspired you to start your weight loss journey and how did you feel about taking that first step with us?
Yeah. So, um, health has always been something that's been on my forefront, especially as I've gotten older. My grandmother had her first triple bypass at 40. And my mom, and my grandma died at a very young age, 56. And my mom is now reaching that age and having all of those same issues. Um, every person in my family was diabetic, and I was pre-diabetic. So I just saw kind of what my future could be if I didn't make serious changes. Um, and I couldn't do that. I have three young kids I want to live for. I want to set a good example for them. And I wanted to be able to truly live every day and not just survive.
Totally. I totally feel you. Sometimes we might think that because there is a disease in our family, we have to go through that as well. It's our future. It's what we were meant to do, to be. And it is not like that. We always have options to change our life. And it is an act of true love to actually being able to change for your family and for yourself.
Absolutely.
Great. And tell me, how much weight have you lost since your surgery?
So my surgery was November 5th. So December, January, February. I'm a little over 3 months post-op and I am down a total of 54 pounds.
Wow, that's a lot in 3 months. That's great. Congratulations. How do you
Thank
feel
you.
about it?
Um, good. Um, I um I feel really good. The weight loss has slowed down a little bit, which I'm grateful for, because I was terrified of having a lot of loose skin and just changes happening so rapidly. So now that I am incorporating a lot of more lifting and working out into just cardio and my eating habits, I feel like I'm setting myself up for the next going into the full year post-op and just doing the best I can with my body.
That's awesome. Look, that's actually, I think, a non-scale victory because normally when we want to lose weight, we only focus on the number. And by this time of your process, you are not only aiming at having a lower number on the scale, but actually feeling stronger, maybe more toned. That number is not what is defining you anymore or the success of your journey, which is fantastic. And it also shows how you have healed maybe the relationship with the number on the scale and with weighting yourself and your habits. So tell me a little bit about those non-scale victories or changes in your mindset after starting your journey with Pivot Weight Loss Center. I know that you take some classes and they teach you some information about habits, food, and all what is involved in this process. So let me know a little bit about it.
So the one thing I love about the dietitians at Pivot Weight Loss is that they're realistic. We have guidelines of things that we aren't supposed to eat or things we aren't supposed to do, but they are very real in the fact that we all enjoy food, regardless of our weight. We love food. And food was such a huge part of my life. All of our family gatherings surrounded by food, right? Cooking is my love language. But now that I've learned to intuitively eat. And I've learned what is nutritious for my body and what just is going to go in and come out or come in and be stored as fat. I've been able to just adjust just my whole eating habits. So sometimes, like when I go to make lunch, I something silly. Like my family always has a side salad for dinner, like romaine lettuce, Caesar dressing, whatever. And nutritionally, that really isn't giving my body anything. So
Mhm.
I will have a small Greek yogurt portion, maybe with some berries instead of that. And that's just one positive change that I've learned is what am I putting into my body and what is it going to give me? And I never thought about that before. I just thought about how it felt in the moment.
Totally. You have a point there, and it's that our emotions have a close relationship with food, right? So, with that in mind, how's your mental health and emotional health now compared to your previous self before starting this journey?
A lot better. Obviously, when you start to feel and not only look better, but I feel better. You talk about just how strong you feel. I can go to the gym and lift weights, or I can run now or jog without being completely winded after a few minutes. And those non-scale victories just make you feel good. So overall, my emotions are a lot more managed. um, you still do have like I think I made a video about this recently, like we're women, and before my menstrual cycle, I get like ravenously hungry, which is funny because that's the only time I have really truly felt hunger since having surgery is right before my menstrual cycle. Um,
Mhm.
so again, instead of emotionally eating and having a pint of Ben and Jerry's, I will have a sugar-free fudgesicle, which is like 30 calories and sugar-free. So just small changes. I still want to eat what I enjoy, but how can I make it a little bit better and how can I fit it into my goals?
Of course, it's how you approach your desire instead of limiting yourself. Because by the end of the time, if you restrict yourself, you will end up binge eating or going to the other side of the process. Normally, when we are in a weight loss journey, we used to think that it is black or white, or you do it perfectly every day, or you do nothing. And it is not like that, it's just balance, right?
Yep.
And so, what part of the process from consultation to surgery and beyond, now that you're post surgery, felt most comfortable or reassuring to you with Pivot?
The whole thing. From the minute you had the consultation to every staff member you meet along the way, everyone was so friendly and gave you the information you needed. Um, I always make a joke. My son, my youngest son, was born very premature, and we've had a lot of interaction with surgeons. And surgeons have just a bad rep of not being the best bad side manner. But that was just the complete opposite with Dr. DeBarros and even Dr. Schuster. They're very direct, but they tell you what you need to hear and in such a great way. And I love dealing with them. So every single person, the dietitians, the front office staff, everyone has made me feel completely comfortable and feeling good about my decision.
That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that you felt really supported. That's basically our inspiration. And now that you mentioned that, it is also very common to see that once you make this decision, you have two kinds of people in your life: the ones that support you and the ones that may go against your decision because it's dangerous, because you are good as you are already beautiful, and by the end they don't even know what you're feeling when you start considering surgery or changing your habits, right? So all this knowledge and support provided, um, how did this knowledge support you to defend your position, like to actually say, this is what I want, this is good for me, and if you are not okay with that, that's okay, I will continue. Did that help you be prepared for those comments?
Yeah, it did. It did, especially the classes you take in the beginning that just teach you about certain ways you should be eating and how um, weight loss and weight or being obese in general isn't it's there's so many layers to it. And I think that I felt supported with the information I had to navigate those comments. In my personal life, I did have a lot of support, but there was always people there were a few people that were like, you are beautiful the way you are, or I don't even think you're that big. And at the end of the day, when I weighed all of my decisions, no one, and my spouse was so supportive, but only me has to deal with how I look every day, how I feel every day, and the medical bills and the pain that comes along with being unhealthy or what that looks like long term. So ultimately, I had to make the best decision for me.
Of course. Great. That's awesome. That's awesome. Also because nobody talks about the stigma that there is around being overweight. If you go to the gym being overweight, then why you are there? Because fat people do not like to do exercise or are not good at physical activity. Or if you even go to buy new clothes, you feel judged just by looking at XYZ size. So definitely you get some freedom after you start this journey. And this is what keeps you motivated, right? Because this is a new version of yourself.
Absolutely.
Good. Now tell me, if you were to give some advice to someone in Arizona that is curious about this surgery or this process, but is a little bit hesitant, what would you let them know? Like, what would be that advice?
I would tell them to absolutely make a consult, especially with the pivot team, because not only are you at the hands of an amazing surgeon, but I didn't know going into it how many different types of weight loss surgeries there were and how those different surgeries can be better for different people based on whatever your health factors are. And I was just given a plethora of information. That wasn't overwhelming. Sometimes when you go to the doctor and they tell you things that can be information overload, I feel like I was told from the beginning information in a way that was helpful to me. And they made sure that I understood it and grasped it before moving on to something else. So I would absolutely say to make the jump, make the consultation, see what your options are, because I wish I would have done it years ago.
Totally. That's right. Information makes total difference in this journey. If you are informed and you have this set of list or checklist to go through your journey, you know that you will do it right because many people tend to say that this is dangerous. Of course, everybody is different. Every surgery works different in everybody. But if you make things informed and guided from the beginning, the end result will be okay. Like you will do things right.
And to that point, yes, going into any elective surgery or any surgery is dangerous, but living in a state of obesity is also very dangerous.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And so, how is your diabetes by this time? Like you told me that you were pre-diabetic. How do you feel about that now?
Yeah, so I'm actually interested at the end of I think end of March I go in and see Dr. Navarros again and get some blood work done. I think at that point he wants to schedule my blood work. So I'm really interested to see how my numbers are from, pre-op to now.
I think you will do it really good. And many people that suffered from diabetes are okay now after this bariatric surgery because of the changes in the food, movement, and all the habits in general terms. Because you also understand what makes you like what you are allergic to and those foods that do not behave really well with your body. Right. Can you share maybe a moment when you realized that our holistic approach addressing both physical and emotional health was making a real difference in your journey?
Hmm. Um, I think that with the tools I've been given from Pivot, as well as the realistic approach to eating with the dietitians, that it's easier for me to stay successful. And that long term makes me happier. Like you said, it's we always think it's black and white, right? Oh my goodness, I messed up. I have to restart. Or we restrict, and then binge. And or carbs are bad, or this is bad. And I've really been given the tools now that I feel like I can make proper decisions in eating, but still eat sometimes what I want, right? And overall, that makes me happy because I'm not stressed out about what I'm eating. And I'm still hitting my goals and feeling good. And I don't think I could do that without what I have from Pivot and the dietitians being so realistic about eating.
Wonderful. And that's another thing. Normally, when we start dieting, we may think that, okay, I may lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and then probably in the future I will regain that weight and even more. But now with this process, you are confident that you have the tools to keep this lifetime commitment, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Good. Brittany, now I want to know if you had any breakthrough moment during this process that made you feel like this is not worth it, or maybe I cannot do it. Because you know that there is always maybe a moment in which we see our surgery too far or our goal too far, or these feelings we are seeking to feel are too far from the moment we are now. So did you have any critical moment in your process?
I really tried this time to not think about the end goal, and I thought about what was in front of me. And that was from the minute the consultation started till now. So when I feel like you focus on the end goal, it's way easier to just give up, right? Because it seems so far away. But when you focus on the stuff in front of you, it's easier to check off. So when you do your consultation, you get your checklist of things you need to do. I got that done. What I will say is after post-op, I felt it was difficult. Your body goes through changes. So one, um, I'll tell you, giving those blood thinning shots, difficult. That was probably the worst part for me. I don't mind shots, but those felt like bee stings. I did not like that. And I was like, oh, I can't do this for 7 more days. But I got through it. And then I was never good about taking vitamins, and vitamins are such a crucial part for bariatric patients. And I will tell you, in the beginning, taking vitamins was difficult. The chewables were kind of nasty until I found one that worked for me. And then even taking pills that you swallow in the beginning were a little difficult just to get down. And that was one thing. And it seemed so minuscule. But when you know how important vitamins are for us, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But as time progressed, it's gotten easier and easier.
That's good. That's a really good point. A powerful tool to not to focus on the end goal, but enjoy the process. And also because you see how much you have grown so far. Like from the beginning, the knowledge that you have now, the habits that you have incorporated in your day to day life, in your self speech, like how you talk to yourself, it's different. It's totally different. What you see in the mirror is totally different as well.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, Brittany, that's all. Those are all my questions.